Welcome to the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Breitman. It's my pleasure, and I welcome in Rutgers volleyball head coach Caitlin Schweihofer. I know you've been busy preparing for the season. Thanks so much for your time and for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. Happy to be here.
So obviously busy off season, coming off a very busy 2021, an untraditional 2021, having essentially 2 seasons in 1 year. Had some ups and downs. A lot of progress was made, both non-conference schedule last year, your best start, I believe, in about a decade. The Big Ten, you had the program best 6 wins in the spring, had the winless season in the fall. How is the whole building of this program gone? You're now in your 3rd year, and just in terms of the work you've put in so far.
Yeah, no, we have a lot to be proud of since I started, obviously starting in February 2020 and then having shut down a month later, and then getting to meet the team finally about 6 months later, and training and did lead into a great first season. But having 2 seasons in the Big Ten in one, the Big Ten is extremely challenging, not only from a skill standpoint, but just a physicality, travel, mental fatigue. I think it was very tough to play 2 of those seasons in one with primarily the same roster, right? But it was exciting actually to have achieved the success we did in the spring and move that into the fall, which didn't see the wins in the record book, but we did make progress against certain programs that we had never, taken sets from before. So those were those small wins I was looking towards, but I felt like it was the right step in the change process and the build process, because teams now were preparing themselves for us, right? It's expected that in your second season, your opponent's now more ready. They want to, they're expecting a higher level of competition, and typically it does result in the the win-loss column the way it did. So not uncommon.
Right. So go ahead.
No, I was saying, and then moving into this season, we did graduate a significant number of players who had key roles, and we have a lot of new faces. So we're excited to see about the potential of this year's group. We're very young, but it will be fun to continue to lay the foundation of what Rutgers volleyball will be in the future.
I wanted to ask about that. You brought in, several transfers. I believe you have 5 freshmen as well. Lost a lot of veterans that were with the program for many years. How has that transition gone this offseason? And I guess, what approach do you take in recruiting in terms of, the mental side of recruits that you're looking at, in terms of understanding the challenges when they come to Rutgers and being such a difficult conference and the stage of the program right now?
The 22 class was kind of a unique recruiting experience because we weren't really able to see them too much live. We had to recruit a lot via Baller TV and some of these other programs that you get to view matches, but and some of them didn't even visit before they came. So it was a lot of just verbal communication rather than in person. But when we're in the recruiting process, we make it very clear. I make it very clear that I'm looking for players who understand the vision that I have, who are bought in to wanting to do something different and special and make a name for themselves and be the ones to put the first banners on the wall, be our first All-Americans. So they're really excited. This group of freshmen is very hungry to come into a program where they might get to see playing time at a younger age. A lot of them had opportunities to go to programs that have historically been more successful, but might not see the court till their junior or senior year. So it's the type of player that's super committed and really has a true understanding of what it takes to be able to compete in the Big Ten.
And you do have a few key returnees, Madison Chitty, Rachel Tam, I believe about 5 or 6 players that contributed last year. How has that process been, just in terms of them stepping up from a leadership perspective and working in all the newcomers?
And Madison Chitty is a junior this year. She has played the libero spot for us for the past 2 seasons. She has a lot of on-court experience, as well as Tina Grukovic, who was a middle blocker for us for the past few seasons. And we do have some other returning players who will now see more time than they've seen in the past with the graduating classes that we had this past season. But we really spent a lot of time this past spring, not only focusing on skill development, but also on interpersonal communication within the team. So we spent time working on how do we talk to one another on the court versus off the court? The team is extremely close. They're best of friends, but can we then still, be that way off the court, but once we get on the court, compete against one another at a higher level to make our practice gym better? So I think that we're seeing that this preseason, that work they put in over the spring and summer, and they shared how to do that with the incomers. So it really, the chemistry in this group is very strong already, which is exciting.
And you had a couple of staff changes with Abby Dettering and Bailey Williams added. What do they bring to your program, and how have they kind of helped in year 3 now for you?
So Bailey is a recent graduate. She played for George Mason, which is in the league that I used to coach at LaSalle. So she saw the change process happen at my previous institutions. And so she's committed into knowing that it's possible. And it's really fun for her to share that experience as a player against me as a coach with the team. And she's able to relate to the players on a level that, because she's closer in age to them. So it's nice from an operational standpoint. But Abby played at Penn State. She played in a Final Four. And she is able to bring this higher level of understanding to the players of what it needs to be competitive in the Big Ten, of what you need to do on the court and off the court, and what extra time and what extra motivation and internal motivation you have to have in order to raise the bar for not only yourself, but for your team. So it's really exciting to have her on staff, because I didn't play in the Big Ten. I'm a coach at this team, but she played recently here, and she played overseas afterwards. So she has a path that a lot of the girls want to follow, and it's great to emulate. So.
And just in regard to your schedule, you're on the road quite a bit to start 3 consecutive tournaments on the road before you host your own. I know you've talked in the past about non-conference scheduling and wanting to prepare for the Big Ten. What was the thought process or decision making in terms of the events that you are taking part in this non-conference schedule?
Well, it's twofold. I knew we had a young team, so I didn't want to overwhelm them right away. So I think we lead into some stronger competition as the preseason schedule goes on. We play Kansas State and Chicago, so that's a solid Power 5 program to ultimately prepare us for the Big Ten. But in order to qualify for the NCAA tournament, you need to be over 500. And with a league that is as challenging as ours, where we might not be seeing over 500 level of wins yet, we want to make sure that we build a non-conference schedule that allows us to at least be available or eligible for the NCAA tournament. So it is because, in our league, 8th, 9th place has historically been accepted. And that's where we were 2 years ago if it had been a field of 64. So I really wanted to make sure that we were getting used to traveling, because we do travel a lot in league. So preparing for that, getting in front of some of friends and family for some of the players, playing a level of competition where we feel like we have the upper hand, somewhere we're still the underdog, and then hopefully getting enough wins to put us in a position where we could get to a plus 500 place at the end of the season.
And all your home games, once again, will be played at Jersey Mike's Arena. How important is that just for the perception of the program and just in terms of the experience of going to games and just as you build this program statewide?
It's huge. I'm so grateful to the administration that we have been able to work it out that we can play our matches in Jersey Mike's. If being in there is a very professional feeling environment for volleyball, it is about the size of most Big Ten volleyball arenas for people who have not gone, out of the state to see a volleyball match. Once you're there, it's loud. It is very much bowled in, so you feel like you're right on the court. But it is a level that is respectable. It's an arena that's respectable for a Big Ten athlete, and it's exciting. It's helped us in the recruiting process, and I think the fan experience overall, it's much more engaging to be in the arena than it was to be in the previous arena that we played in. So it's exciting, and I'm very grateful to be there.
And I've said this before, but I feel like not only do you have the biggest challenge, at Rutgers of any coach, but just in terms of the Big Ten in general, from what you were inherited here and where you're trying to take it. 7 teams are ranked nationally, 4 in the top 10. How have you, taken the challenge, stayed positive, and been able to kind of pass that down within the program in terms of having optimism for the future?
I've been asked before why I have so much enthusiasm. And I think that the way that my mentality is will reflect on how the team looks at this. And these players who have been recruited by me, we're at a point now where everyone that's on the team, I've at least had a conversation with before they've entered, come to Rutgers, which is exciting. But everyone on the team knows what they signed up for. I know what I signed up for. My staff knows what they signed up for. We all have the same thought process and the same work ethic to make a difference and to make a change. But we're not going to waver from the core values that I have in place of making sure that our academics stay in line, making sure that our families are involved, making sure that we, have a positive coaching environment in the gym. And I think that all those things, line up in order to create change. And I have a background in change management. So for me, I'm comfortable because I know curriculum, what the change process looks like, and that can take 5 to 6 years. So I think we're in a really good place this season. I think you're going to really see a cultural shift on the team. And it's exciting time. We are right at the top of the peak right now, so we're getting closer. And but it's going to take a lot of love from our fan base to push us over that hill. So hopefully all the people that are watching this come out and watch a match.
Mm-hmm. And the Big Ten is obviously doing a great job of promoting the sport with as strong as the conference is with the first media day a couple of weeks ago. How much does that help to, aside from, being at Jersey Mike's now, being more visible as a program and just the Big Ten, what they're doing to sell the sport as well?
It's a really big deal, no pun intended, but we were the first of any sport, male or female, to have a media day, from an Olympic sport to have a media day. So it did show the investment that the Big Ten made, and understanding of how many eyes are on women's volleyball in this conference. And being from Philadelphia originally and growing up, in the Northeast, playing at St. John's in the New York City area, volleyball is still a developing sport in our state, in New Jersey. And I love to lead the charge, and I love that people who do watch the Big Ten Network have eyes on what we're doing here at Rutgers, because hopefully it inspires a younger generation to pick up a volleyball, and that only helps our program grow. It only helps the sport grow in the state. So it's exciting to be at the forefront of that.
And how has that outreach been with, local programs, high schools, through the recruiting trail, but just in terms of kind of having that partnership in terms of trying to build the sport throughout the state?
It's really been great. I think the grassroots of getting involved with the local community. We had our first ever summer camps this year, and we had great attendance. So that was really fun. We hope to grow those over the next few years. We did some satellite camps where we went into high schools in the area to help their coaches and their players learn even more at a higher level of what we do in our gym, how to train. And we encourage a lot of the high school and youth programs to come to our matches to see what it is to be a Rutgers volleyball player and what it would take. And, we have a New Jerseyan on the team. We now have a Pennsylvanian on the team. So I like to recruit locally if I can. And that's an important piece of the puzzle, but we have to continue to heighten the level of play. And it starts with a younger audience. So we highly encourage our younger fan base to come out and watch matches.
And just a couple more for you. Obviously, you've had to really adapt on the fly in several ways coming to Rutgers, during a pandemic and everything that you've accomplished prior to coming here. I guess, what have you learned, or what's been the biggest, change or thing that you've had to evolve in as a coach, that you've learned along the way in being at Rutgers?
A lot of things. I've never lived in a college town before. Like, I've worked at private institutions. So working for the biggest public institution in the state, and just the love that New Jerseyans have for Rutgers is really inspiring. I have, now I'm the person that I have a Rutgers bumper sticker. I have the Rutgers volleyball on the back of my car. So it really is so fun. To be in a state where you feel like you're making a difference because they have a connection to our university. And so that's really fun. I've never worked at as big of a university before. So learning all the ins and outs of how things are handled from an operations standpoint, from an administrative standpoint, that's fun. How long it takes to sometimes get projects done. No, but it's really, those are all new things for me. But after going into my third season in the Big Ten, the first 2 seasons were kind of like, okay, right, this is high level, right? This is a lot of travel, and this is night games on television, and this is a lot of fans, and we're under a microscope. Like all those things I'm now fully prepared for. And I feel like I can lead this program in a much better place now than I even could 1 year ago, 2 years ago, because I just have the experience. So it's been a ride. But it's only going to be, chapter 4 of my book, I think, when we're done.
And lastly, just wanted to ask in terms of what your expectations and goals are for this group going into this season.
I really just want to build on the progress that we made in the last 2 seasons. I can't sit here and tell you how many matches we're going to win. I don't even want to put a number to it. I think there's going to be a point where you're going to see a lot of freshmen out on the court or sophomores out on the court. So I want us to be competitive. I want us to now take 2 sets off of teams that we only took 1 set off of, and 2 sets can lead to 3 sets. But I also really want us to be much better on the second match of the weekend than we were on the first match. I've seen that we were doing really well on Friday night, but our recovery of how we handled Saturday and the travel. So can we learn those skills? Can we take the experience that we had and build upon that? So for me, those are the expectations. And I really just want the people who are watching to see the change still happening, right? Like, even though it's not maybe turning into the W just yet, oh, that was better than last season. That was better than the season before that. So the skill level rising is the main goals for me this year.
Rutgers Volleyball head coach Caitlin Schweihofer, always a pleasure to speak to you. Looking forward to covering this team this season, and best of luck to you in the program.
Oh, thank you, Aaron.